In this video, I'm going to show you 7 effective tips to really develop your aim. But before we get into that, sorry I have not uploaded recently. I've just finished school and I just needed an overdue break, but now that I'm back, I got another banger for you guys. Let's get right into it. Let's define what good aim really is by observing Emmerich. He has a high area which enables him to aim sharp angles with ease, reach anywhere on the screen at any given moment, effective precision which allows him to do some insane flow aim, and high CS gameplay. However, that's not all. Even with insanely high area and fantastic precision, Emmerich doesn't put anything to waste, still performing with the cleanest aim and no wasted movement. Essentially, what you're aiming for is a technique that feels natural, relaxed, comfortable, easy to access, consistent, and reliable. So let's get started. How your grip works. Here's what you need to know. Finger movement is vertical movement. Horizontal movement is wrist and elbow movement. But the thing about horizontal movement is that it's the weakest movement for your hand to perform. So players like Whitecat and Emmerich, who have both arguably one of the best aims in the game, they tend to narrow their horizontal access area by quite a bit. Even I do this myself to compensate for this weak movement. But this isn't going to fix your aim overnight. If you are already a great aim player, this will help you with your mobility, but I recommend doing this after you've mastered 7-side jumps. Technique. So let's look at my left hand versus my right hand on the ending of Xaver, and let's see what's different. Right off the bat, I can see that my left hand is awkward, doing several things wrong. One, my left hand's not planted on the tablet properly, my grip is a little bit flimsy, and my knuckles are protruding too much out. That means my hand is so wide, and not using my fundamentals properly. So as we can see, when we watch this video, when I'm doing horizontal jumps, it's very confused with my fingers, whereas with my right hand, it's very obvious that horizontals are my wrist, and verticals with my fingers. Whereas my left hand, I'm sort of mixing and mashing all of them together, and as you can see, because of that, my pen grip is not very solid. Another thing to note is that my aim is very curved. I have no snap whatsoever, and this is because the map is just simply too fast. So as you can see, technique is a key part into what makes your aim better. Obviously, your aim's gonna be better than me since I'm using my left hand. But the fastest way to get your fundamentals down is to practice square jump practice maps. I have a link down below. Practice going down with your fingers and horizontal with your wrist. What's the right area for you? First, we need to address something that a lot of players struggle with: area. And yes, we're taking it to the basics. Do you play with super high area that allows you to aim with no movement? Or do you use a super low area, which is something similar to a desk-sized 32-inch mattress? Here's how you find out. Extremes. If you try the maximum area or settings on your tablet or mouse, you will learn several things. You will learn how to be clean with your movement, since you have to exaggerate your movements to get to that circle, and over time you'll be more developed in clean aim. This means no shaking and weak grips. This will teach you a solid connection between your pen or mouse. Think of it like elementary school, where you had to learn how to write. Your notebook was very big, so you would write the letters really big to learn the letters, and practice the motions. Same with OSU, except replace letters with patterns, like squares and triangles. After this, you're going to develop faster aim technique, which enables you to literally zoom past the screen when you go back to your normal area. This will also increase your range of movement to hit those bigger jumps. You will also learn how to readjust your pen or mouse on slow sections, to the point where when going back to your normal area, it just feels effortless. This is huge for mouse drift, by the way. On the flip side, let's look at high settings. You're going to learn how to be slow and cautious, where with full area, you basically can afford to swing your cursor. With high area, you cannot, since there's no wiggle room. You will also learn how to use precision properly, and it will also teach you how to have a good grip without straining your hand, since converting all those movements into finger movement is very tension inducing. Don't stress if you don't know where your area or sense is first day. A lot of pros still change their area slightly on a daily basis, and if you're still young, your hands are probably still growing. And there are a lot of factors at play to what makes a good area for you. But be warned, if you use anything higher than this or this, it's not a good idea. Players like Zudinator and Trailmix are the exception. Stick to what's comfortable to you. How to utilize your area properly. Now you might be thinking, does that mean if I'm doing a lot of streams, I should use full area and cross-screen jumps to use high area, right? No. Here's where a lot of players mess up. The most important aspect of OSU: comfortability. Let's say you're a player with very good precision but lacks a lot of speed. Alright, so precision and lack speed would be good for high area, right? But high area is bad for space streams and good for jumps. So a jump player, right? Wrong. Space streams and high CS would be their strong suit, since they have that high precision to begin with, and are more comfortable with micro adjustments. Space streams are actually not as hard as a lot of people make them out to be. Given that you master the BPM already, the speed of the stream isn't the hard aspect, it's being in the middle of the stream, since any deviation of aim would result in a under aim, or over aim. So since the player has high precision and low speed, even if it looks impossible on the tablet or mouse, the player would have no problem hitting it with that area. I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen players use 30 by 20 area on their tablet or like 6000 DPI on their mouse. Just don't. Being fast is great and all, but if you can't control your cursor to get to the note in the first place, what's the point? Now let's take a look into what proper area utilization means. So like I was hinting at before, your area is meant to compensate for your weak ability, while not diminishing your strength. Let's look at me for example. Aiming jumps for me feels very natural, so adding a little bit extra area on my tablet won't affect aiming jumps that much, and gives me the advantage of aiming higher CS and performing flow aim much more easily. It's just about utilizing your strengths better. You only do this after you've tried both extremes to find what you need to compensate for. After you know what to compensate for, this is where it gets fun, since you can now improve that skill to get to that Emmerich and Whitecat peak. Alright, now let's go into movement snapping. This one is quite hard to understand, so bear with me. So we figured out our area, we understand the extremes, and now we have a pretty solid technique and clean movement. But why does snapping still feel so weird? This is an original concept that I've not seen anyone else cover to date. And this is what really separates good aim players from the great ones. I'm going to show you two examples, one with and without movement snapping. And I want you to see if you can tell the difference. It was the right one. Movement snapping essentially makes every angle on a jump completely possible by curving into the note. By curving into the note, you can essentially make this 180-degree angle feel like a 45-degree angle. Bear in mind, it's extremely advanced and super hard to get the hang of. Here we can see Cookies do the same thing on Flower Dance while hovering, using movement snapping to get that tactility for jumps. This makes hovering and aim in general much easier to deal with. I realized I started doing this after a couple years of Ursu, since I was watching Cookies and a lot of top players at the time and trying to copy what they do. I think copying pros is a great way to start learning what your playstyle is, but copy them for the sake of copying them is not a good solution. You should copy their playstyles, see what works for you, and take that aspect of their technique into yours. And this way you improve way faster. Arching. Now, here's an aim mechanic that I still see being completely unnoticed by a lot of players. Arching is basically following your natural arm movement from a pivot point. For example, horizontal jumps would pivot from your wrist or elbow, whereas vertical jumps would pivot from your fingers. Now you may be thinking, well, wouldn't the most efficient movement be 100% straight rather than arched? Technically yes, but really no. Following your natural shape of motion is much more effective. See it this way. If you have a mountain with a flowing river on top, the river isn't going to go perfectly over the rocks, it's going to follow gravity and go horizontal. This analogy is a bit tacky, but basically being perfectly straight would result in excess movement in your fingers, which could be avoided by just pivoting from your elbow. What? Bonus tip? Pacing. The last and final thing I see a lot of players do, which can easily be avoided and will make you play better today, is playing at the speed of the map. It's very easy to get overwhelmed with how many jumps you have to cater to, but trust me, 90% of the time, I see players even in 4-digit just over-aim everything. Let me show you. So this is no mod at the speed of the map. As you can see, it's very nice and relaxed, and then when we rush it, this is pretty obvious. However, I've seen a lot of people do this with DT, like this. It looks normal, right? But no. It should actually be like this. Watch how much more relaxed my aim is. I'm just playing at the speed of the map and I'm just enjoying the song. Having controlled and accurate movement is much better than rushing to the note as fast as you can. Remember, getting a few hundreds is much better than missing or potentially dying on the run. Take your time on things and you will improve much faster. Check out my Discord and streams. I stream on Twitch. Be sure to drop by. Anyway, that's all. Hope to see you next upload.
Did you know you can tell the gender between a male and a female horse? Male have 40 teeth, whereas females have 36 teeth.